All right, let's dive right into this explainer and unpack the absolutely wild, low cortisol tactics of an alternate timeline Jedi Knight, Sharkster Crimson. If you think traditional Jedi are all about calm meditation and rigid defense, well, prepare to have the rulebook completely thrown out the window. Today, we're looking at the first Padawan of the legendary 9.1-foot-tall Master Skywalker. But unlike his patient, strictly mature master, Sharkster Crimson is this aquatic land-human hybrid who just seems to thrive on pure, unhinged, sonical chaos. And yet, he's undeniably a force for good. So how does someone so erratic actually succeed? Let's find out. Now, what's truly wild here is that this legally binding exception sits carved right into the official Jedi Temple plaque. I mean, think about it. The Jedi Order relies on intense discipline, yet they formally recognize that Sharkster's unpredictability exists completely outside traditional decorum. Instead of expelling him, they literally codified his foolishness into their sacred marvel. This means he has absolute legal immunity to be as absurd as he wants 24/7. The Council literally cannot reprimand him for his chaotic antics. And that legal protection brings us to this staggering number, 26. That's the number of consecutive months he's held the title, the Idiot of the Jedi Order. But here's the catch that completely baffles the traditionalists. He holds this title across a completely undefeated 25-year tenure, 25 years of utter chaos, and not a single defeat. Actually, keep that 25-year number in the back of your mind because it gets mathematically hilarious later on. It looks like pure foolishness to onlookers, but his bizarre tactical logic achieves total mission success every single time. And this brilliantly illustrates the toll that 25 years of sanctioned foolishness takes on a traditionalist. Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, a total master of defensive form, suffers from an ultra-specific, paralyzing psychological condition, Shark Papatamonastro Jedikin Quipt Calicrimson phobia. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but it's the literal fear of Sharkster Crimson. Because Obi-Wan has no legal grounds to discipline him, and just cannot compute how Sharkster's methods actually win battles, Master Kenobi's only tactical response is defenestration. He literally yeets himself out of the nearest temple window in absolute exasperation. Section 1, the single-use disguise strategy. So why does an invincible Jedi Knight even need disguises in the first place? Well, it all comes down to psychological shock and a very strict one-time usage rule. Between his green hooded shroud and the temple mask and cowl, Sharkster wears each disguise exactly once per engagement. Why? Because the moment an enemy recognizes a trick, it stops working, right? By deploying these just once, he guarantees utter disorientation before the enemy can even process what's happening. This irreversible confusion creates the absolute perfect opening for his high-velocity sonical blitz. He leaves his adversaries perpetually off balance. Section 2. Lightning and Palpatine's phobia. Speaking of psychological shock, instead of traditional defense, he utilizes a really reckless attack-first philosophy. But you might be wondering, how on earth is a Jedi casually wielding Emperor Palpatine's signature Force lightning? It's all because of his unique stress-free biology. He doesn't need anger or the dark side to channel it at all. He simply strips the dark emotion out of it entirely. He seamlessly blends these blistering streams of electricity with his high-velocity sonical movements as a preemptive barrage meant to overload enemy defenses instantaneously. But here is where his strategy against dark side masters gets truly legendary. Emperor Palpatine doesn't actually fear conventional lightsaber forms. You know what he fears? Hippopotamonstrossesquipialiphobia, the literal fear of extremely long words. So Sharkster pairs his aggressive Force lightning with what can only be described as verbal flashbangs. Mid-assault, moving at scenical speeds, he just starts dropping massive, multi-syllabic vocabulary words. This completely shatters Palpatine's dark side focus before a physical blow has even landed. And the result? I mean, picture this. The Emperor is so terrified of an advanced vocabulary that he turns and sprints away in total humiliation. He's running so fast in sheer panic that his Sith pants droop right off. The dark side of the Force stands entirely powerless against polysyllabic words. And throughout the whole shebang, Sharkster just casually smiles, completely unbothered by the sheer absurdity of the situation. Section 3. Befriending inanimate battlefield companions. Now, to understand why an elite hybrid treats his heavy ordnance like a social circle, we really have to look at his age. He's just 18 years old. Wait a second, 18? Didn't we just say he has a 25-year undefeated streak? I know, the math makes absolutely zero sense. But hey, I guess that's just part of the reality-bending chaos of his existence. He functions as this wildly energetic adult teenager.
Plus, as his name suggests, he has a profound biological affinity for sharks, matching his amphibious, dual-environment adaptability. But what really sets him apart is his biology. Influenced by a fateful childhood encounter with Jar Jar Binks, Sharkster developed an ultra-low cortisol baseline. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and Sharkster essentially has none. This gives him a literal Hakuna Matata biology. No worries for the rest of his days. Even in a deadly war zone, panic is biologically impossible for him. He exists in an absolute state of permanent serene comfort.
And because of this supreme stress-free serenity, he effortlessly forms social bonds with his inanimate gear. He genuinely talks to his ultra-rare lightsaber, Caliber Cowl, as if it were his feminine companion or girlfriend. Meanwhile, he chats with his DH-17 blaster pistol, which rapid-fires matching emerald green plasma, by the way, like it's a 28-year-old gym buddy getting dragged into his reckless antics. He has zero anxiety about doing this out loud in the middle of a battle, which naturally pushes Master Kenobi right back toward the nearest window. Let's look at his girlfriend for a second. Because Caliber Cowl is an absolute hydrodynamic marvel. Manufactured by the eccentric scientists at Corellian, it's the rarest lightsaber in existence. It uses these thick, unelectrified cords seamlessly packed into the hilt, allowing Sharkster to instantly transition between a standard green blade, a grappling hook for rapid vertical scaling, and a light Kasari Fundo. That's a weighted chain weapon that swings the active plasma blade around with centrifugal force. It works perfectly underwater or on land, harmonizing beautifully with his hybrid biology and sonical speed. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. We've seen how Sharkster Crimson uses one-time disguises for pure shock value, wields Force Lightning alongside massive vocabulary words to literally pants Emperor Palpatine, and treats his multiform hydrodynamic weapons like his best friends. And it's all fueled by this stress-free, low-cortisol biology. If pure, unbothered Hakuna Matata chaos can secure a total, undefeated victory over an impossible 25-year span, why do we take our own battles so seriously? What rigid, traditional rules in your own life are actually holding you back from your own sonical speed success? Definitely something to think about.